Hi guys, and welcome back to Crafty Quilting Designs. I hope everyone is really fine and having a fantastic day wherever you are in this world. So this week's quilt is a pumpkin seed scrappy quilt, and there is no piecing in this one. But before we get into the video, for those of you who are new here, welcome, and for those of you who are always rocking with me, thank you so much for coming back. I really enjoy having your company in my tutorials. Okay, so let me show you this quilt. It's really lovely. It didn't take long to make, and I know I always say that. It literally can be done in a day. So I made mine in a day, and let me tell you this right now. This quilt, I have been making it for almost 2 years now. I started doing it, and I did cut a few scraps back in the day, she says. But at the time, I did cut a few scraps out of it, and I stacked it to the side. And so when we moved, it went to the top of the list as I have to get done for 2023. So here we go. It is finally completed. Let me show it to you really quickly. I don't want to spill my drink, because every time I'm on the screen, that's the only time my throat decides to play up. So here it is. I have mixed the colors, definitely. When I say mix the colors, I'm talking about my background squares, and that will make more sense to you once you see how I've actually compiled the quilt, all right? But as I said, it really can be done in a day. It's an applique one, and you will see I did take some shortcuts for this one. I was a bit lazy at the time. I just, sometimes you just don't get into the mood until you start figuring it all out, so there you go. But yeah, it's a nice one. It turned out really beautifully, even to my surprise, because when I finished it, I was like, oh my god, it's a really beautiful, simple quilt. So all of you out there who love quick, simple quilts, this is the one for you. You won't be disappointed. But as I said, no piecing at all. Now, before we move on and I show you the video, there's something I need to ask you guys out there. Okay, I'm going to make it quite quick because I don't want to keep too many times. So before I left the UK, I gave away a few of my quilts to the family. All right, so everybody got one. Well, I say everybody except my ex-husband. I didn't give him one. Well, no particular reason. I just forgot him. Anyway, so my son now, my eldest son, when he eventually moved out of the family home, he didn't take his quilt with him. So I asked my daughter, did he take his quilt? And she said, no, he left it on the chair, on the sofa. I was like, okay. Right, so I need you guys to tell me whether or not I'm being silly about it, because I felt a little bit upset that he didn't take the quilt, because the quilt that I gave to him is a really beautiful one, and I worked my ass off with it. Now everybody else have used their quilt, they love it, they always send me pictures of them using it or have used it or whatever, but he didn't take it when he actually moved in with his girlfriend, and I'm a little bit upset about that. Now, my question to you is, should I be upset, or is it the fact that it's no longer mine? Whatever he does with it is entirely down to him, and I should just let it go, and I shouldn't say anything to him. My mind is saying I should say, son, why didn't you take your quilt? It could be something quite simplistic. And to be honest, when I gave him that one, there was something inside of me saying, some people are not quilt worthy. And I don't think he's a quilt worthy person. And I'm not worried about him seeing the video, because he doesn't watch them ever. So I'm not really worried about that. What I'm more concerned is, should I approach him with it, or should I say nothing? He's my eldest. And if I feel like if I say anything to him, the most he'll say to me is, Mom, why are you crying? Why are you stressing over this? That's not important. But to me it is, because when I make the quilts, I put a lot of effort, love, energy, focus, everything goes into it. So with that one, I'll put a picture up here for you so you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a video on it as well, so you'll know what I'm referring to. And I did work hard on it, so I'm a little bit annoyed, so I'm wondering, so you guys out there, quilters, you've given quilts away, I'm sure of it, And you know, you want when you bless the person with it that they appreciate it, or at least they use it. You know, it's a keepsake, isn't it? So my question to you is that whatever you say, I would abide by it, because you know, I feel that you guys will be able to relate to how I feel and respond appropriately. So should I say anything or should I drop it? At the end of the day, it's no longer mine. I've blessed him with it, and however he treats it is down to him. So let me hear your opinions. Karen, are you acting up for no reason, or you bugging out? Just say, Karen, you're bugging out. Leave it alone. It's nothing to do with you anymore. And I will just abide by ways. But I want to hear what you guys think. You know, I'm in two minds whether or not to approach it or not. So I will leave it in your hands. Whatever you say, I will go with it. That's a promise. All right, so now that you've heard my dilemma, I will now take you through to the video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think about the quilt itself. There'll be a template down below for you to click on the link if you would like to make it. It is actually my template. I actually had that made for myself. So the size of the template, I don't think there's one out there in terms of that particular size pumpkin seed or orange peel, as some people call it, template, but it's a nice big one, so hence the reason why the quilt finishes so quickly. But the template will be there for you, and do remember that the template is the actual size. Okay, right, so with that being said, happy quilting guys, and I will see you in the next one. Don't forget to let me know what you think. Don't forget to like and subscribe, share the video out, and hit that notification bell, and make sure the notification bell turns dark, okay, so that you'll be notified when all the videos are uploaded. Talking too quickly. Bye for now, guys. See you in the next one. To make this quilt, we need a few items of fabric. It's going to be a scrappy one. It's really beautiful, and it's very simple to make. It's a quilt that you can make really fast and really big, and the size is governed by you. All right, now there will be a template available for you to buy, and it's an orange peel template. Now this particular template I had made from one of my colleagues at work in the UK. Obviously, for those of you who know, I was a school teacher, and so I had access to a few items or things that I can make use of within the school, and one of those was being able to have like templates made for me from acrylic. Obviously I was a textiles teacher, so so this is the same sort of material that you would use to make any of your rulers that you would use. All right, now it is just clear in color. It measures from top to bottom 11 inches, and we're going to use this today. Now this quilt has been in the making for almost 2 years now. I started this quilt a long time ago when I actually had the template designed. So there will be a template available, and you can download the template as many times as you require, and there isn't going to be any sort of issues with that. So if you do cut into the template when you are making the quilt, you can just go back on my Crafty Quilting store website and download it again. So you need some 10-inch squares for this one. I'm going to be using purple and white. You're also going to be needing some scrap fabrics. I have a small ruler here which I'll explain what I have. You obviously need your sharp rotary blade and your cutting mat, and as I said, lots of scraps for fabric. Now the scraps of fabrics that I'm using to make my orange peel, which is what the template actually gives us, I think it's also called a pumpkin seeds pattern as well. So, but I have mainly used scraps, to be honest, really much so. It's very much a scrap fabric, and I do have quite a lot of scraps that I would like to get rid of. So this one here is left over from a border. A lot of the other smaller pieces of scraps that I will be using is from leftover binding, etc., or a 2.5-inch borders, which is what I've been using for the other bits to make up the block. Now there is no piecing in this particular, so picking the particular pattern is quite easy. It is an applique process that we will be using this for. Now for this border here that I have, must measure and see, it is 4.5 inch wide, And this orange peel template sits nicely on top of it. Now, if you wanted to make 2 cuts, what you can also do is then whatever scrap piece of fabric you have, I would fold it in half so you can get 2 cuts at the same time. I will also say to, if it's a a good sized piece like this, I would definitely iron it so that it's lovely and smooth. So you've kind of killed 2 birds with 1 stone, making sure so you don't have to go back and iron out the small pieces. If you've ironed out the fabric itself before you cut, then your cut piece of orange peel is going to be nice and ready to go. Okay, so just fold it 3 times, 4 times, however much times you want to get the fabric cut. You can also layer your fabric so you have different colors as well. But for example purposes, I'm just going to use this small one here that I have, which measures 4.5, which is slightly bigger than the orange peel acrylic template that I have in my hand. Okay, now I'm just going to use my little finger here and hold it so that it doesn't move, and I'm just going to cut. So take your time when you do this. Now, one of the reasons why I have allowed for the template to be downloaded several times is that just in case you have cut into your paper, you can go back and get another one, and that's not going to cost you anything. All right, so at this stage, if you do have a rotating mat, it will be useful to bring out. I haven't, and I just usually turn the mats because I usually use small mats, so I can do that. Line it up all yet again and just simply hold it nice and firm and cut yet again. So it's quite easy to do. As long as your blade is lovely and sharp, you shouldn't really have a problem. All right, so just take your time, go all the way around and cut. Okay, now I also have been keeping these scrap bits to use again in the quilt. So as I said, you're going to be needing some plain 10-inch squares. I'm using white and purple. The fabrics you're going to be using for your scraps to make your orange peel cuts, you need it to be high contrast, meaning that you can actually see it against the background fabric. So in this case, my background fabric here is the purple and the white 10-inch squares. I'm going to be making a 36 block quilt. You can make it as big or as small as you want. This is really governed by you. It's very much an improv quilt. All right, so it's a scrappy quilt, it's improv, it's governed by you. All I am supporting you here is with the template. That's it. Everything else is going to be done your way. Now, once you've done all of your cuts, and I have a few more examples here, all you simply need to do is to put it aside, and we're going to start thinking about how we're going to compile the quilt. Now, I'm going to take one of my purple square here, my 10-inch square, and the reason why I have my scrap fabrics here now, and as I said before, I have these in sizes of leftover binding, inner borders, etc. Okay, now we are going to measure from the tip there to somewhere along there because we just want to snowball this. Now, I didn't get too, fussy about this. I just decided how much I wanted to ensure that snowballing was done. Now, what I need you to take heed of is because this is 11 inches from top to bottom, you need to make sure that it fits onto your 10-inch square properly. So you need an accurate 10-inch square here. You don't need an about 10-inch. You need an accurate 10-inch square. Okay, so mine fits on there nicely. We are going to snowball 3 areas of that square. All right, remember that 3 areas only we're going to snowball. Now, one of the things I do to decide my size for where I want my snowball to be, I use my small ruler here, and it's got all of these sizes there is already marked out for me. And as I said before, I didn't make it too fussy. I decided that I wanted to have it at 1.5 inches. So I measured 1.5 inches from the top to where 1.5 inches stops. And I can see, so if I turn the ruler this way, I can actually see 1.5 inches, and I can just put a little marker there, and I will just put a little dot there. Okay, so when I did it 1 or 2 or 3 times, I did a dot there, and I was like, okay, fine, that is where I want the snowball to begin. Okay, now don't do it any wider. I would advise you not to do that. Okay, because one of the points of your orange peel will go directly opposite your snowball, so it's important that you keep consistently to that particular size. Now, I wasn't too fussy about it, as I said before, so wherever I put that dot, I put my strip now, my 2.5 inch strip, just slightly under that. Now, if you are fussed about it, you can draw a line, so then you know exactly you've got 1.5 inch away from the tip of the square, or you can eyeball it, which is what I did after the 3rd time. So when I sort of knew where my eyes needed to land on the end of that point there, that is when I then lay it down. Now you would see when I show you the layout that not all of the snowball matches up. And again, that is fine for me because I am not aiming for that. Remember, I said that this is an improv quilt. I'm just doing what I feel. I'm making it very artistic to me. So once I've done that and I've laid it out where I want to do, I will then sew 1/4 inch, and then I will fold it back and I'll put it on the wrong side up. I will iron it and I will then trim it off. So when I say trim it off, I will trim off the excess scrap fabric in line with that square to bring it back again. So let me show you one that I've already done here. All right, so as you can see, it's on the 3 sides of the actual square. Okay, and I have one bit up here, this other corner, which is empty. So it's important that you remember that. All right, so again, I use Scrappy. Now, if you wanted to make it a more uniform quilt and use the same color for all of it, you can. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so even if you wanted to use 2 10-inch squares, 2 layer cakes, you can have a layer cake with print in it, and you can have a plain layer cake, and you can use your first layer cake or your printed layer cake in this case to cut out all of your orange peel. But I think personally you're wasting a layer cake. A scrap fabric will sort of give you the same thing, really. All right, so it's entirely down to you and what you want. All right, hence the reason why I went for scraps. I think it's a beautiful way to use up scraps. So let me bring this back now. So when we lay this down, this is how it's going to be laid. So the objective here is to, once you have ironed on all of your snowballing on your 3 points of your corners, now you iron it down, it's all cut and trimmed beautiful, and it looks just as it was before, as the same size of a 10-inch. However, I have not trimmed my back off. I am going to leave it there, okay? Because at the end of the day, I don't think it takes up anything away from the quilt top. In fact, is adding a little bit more padding. All right, so I've left it there. It's a job that I can get away with because at the end of the day, it is not really coming through to the darker fabric. Okay, now had it been the other way around, whereby it was the light fabric on top and the darker fabric to the bottom, I would have definitely had to cut that. In this case, I don't, because I am using darker fabrics. Okay. Okay, so that's that. So what I'm going to do is just fold this in half, and I'm going to finger press it. I'm going to finger press it and open it back out. Now, I'm going to take the lazy option. This is an applique process, and I don't want to applique on. I do not want to go back onto the sewing machine and stitch it down. I am being lazy, and I'm being very honest about that. I'm not lying to you because I think I'm giving myself double work. So all I'm simply going to do is just take my orange peel. Because I know I have put that crease line already in the middle there, I can see exactly where the middle of my square falls, and I'm going to line it up on that line. Now, what I want you to bear in mind is that to the top here, I want you to envisage a 1/4 inch seam on both sides. Why? Because I don't want you to shift it all the way up there, and it takes away when we are sewing. Okay, when you're joining the blocks together, I don't want you to lose that point. So hence the reason why you drag it down, making sure that you give yourself a 1/4 inch. Now, if you want to be fussy about it, you could take your little ruler again, put it on there, on the dot of that point where the square is, mark a 1/4 inch, line it up right there. I can see it underneath, and I know I am already a 1/4 inch away. All right, so that's a good, if you want to give yourself that marking, that guidance. So again, hence the reason why you need your little ruler, or any ruler, as a matter of fact, that has that 1/4 inch. So you put it on there, and I can see that the point of my orange peel lands directly where the 1/4 inch stops or starts on the square. All right, and that's where I've left it. Okay, now you could also give yourself a little bit of a marking area. I'm looking for my marking tool, but I cannot find. I'm just going to use a pen. So I'm going to put that there, that dot there, so I know where it is. Now, as I said before, I am simply going to add a little bit of basting spray onto it. Now you can go ahead and do the correct application process for applique, i.e. you can put it on the actual paper. My brain escapes me right now what it's actually called. Just somebody remind me. In the block, you know, the paper, you put it on and you peel it off and you stick it. You can go through all that process, but I am going to be lazy today. I want this to be quick and fast. So all I'm going to do really is that, put it down where the dot is, smoothing it off in the middle. Done. All right, and I'm going to join my blocks together after I show you the layout. That is simply what I am going to do. I am not going to make this fussy. The reason why I'm doing this, because I know I'm going to quilt this, and I will go over those areas where I need it to be flat. So I'm not going to go and do a zigzag or a satin stitch on the end. I am not going to do that, or even a straight stitch. If you want to, by all means, guys, go ahead and do it. But as I said to you, I'm taking the lazy route. So that is your quilt block there, literally. So as I said, I am doing 2 of them. So I have 2 colors here. I'll just move these aside. So I have my white and my purple. Now, you don't have to alternate the colors if you don't want to. And I'm referring to your background squares here, which is your 10-inch squares. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. Again, this was literally an improv. I was like, you know what if? It's a what if moment. What if I just use different colors? And if I wasn't feeling so triple lazy, I probably would have added another color. But I decided was to stop at the white and purple. Okay, so again, I'm going to choose whatever I want there. I am going to, if I want to, measure, and I can see where my 1/4 inch stops and starts. Put a dot there so I know, and turn it around so you can see. So I know where it is. And if I want to again, I put my dot right to the top. Yeah, my orange peel right at the top of the dot. I line it up on that line that I just created, that crease line, and that's it. I glue baste it yet again, and I continue. The only thing I have to worry about now is, before I glue it down, which of these do I want in there? That's the only thing I need to worry about at this stage. Okay, so what I went ahead and did was to cut all of my orange peels, and I used any leftover scrap fabric. Okay, as you can see, some is a little bit abstract there. I have this one, I have this, and these are all quilts that I've fabric that I've made from a quilt. Obviously, this is even a Christmas one. Okay, so, and I used any color. This is black. So this one is even batiks. So any color you want to throw in there, you can. Hence the reason again why I went to such plain background, because I want that color to really stand out. So hence the reason why I'm from light purple and the light. So I want some light background so that my fabrics, even if they're dark, they will show off the print. Okay, so I'm going to continue, stick some of these down. And then I will show you what the layout's supposed to be like. So let's get started on gluing these down. That was better. Okay, so I wanted to show you how to do the snowball before we went on any further, so that everyone is clear on what you need to do. Okay, so I have a small piece of some spare fabric. Now I'm just going to use some leftover strip of jelly roll. All right, and remember I said that you need to envisage, or you could mark your 1.5 inch from the tip or the corner of your 10-inch square. Now I'm just going to do it visually. All right, so I'm going to lay my jelly roll strip front sides down like so, and you can chain piece this, which is what I've actually been doing. So let me show you here all the bits that I have chain piece. So I chain piece one corner at a time. You can just simply snip off where it stops so that you don't have this excess there, but it doesn't really bother me, because once I've done one side, I take it all off, cut them, and then do the process all over again. So for me here, I can already average that is 1.5 away from that tip there. And I'm simply going to just simply sew it down. And I'm going to veer off like that in preparation for the next one. So I'm going to cut this because that was the last square. So cut the thread. And you can see that it's already on there. So all I'm going to do right now is just cut off that excess, as I said. Okay, so that is one corner down. So what I'm going to do, keeping the same chain with all of them connected, what I'm going to do now is to just turn, and I have another point. Okay. So once I've done this one, I'm just going to turn and do the other point. If I just put that through and get the other one, I have it here. The point is there. Oopsie daisy, just drop that. So again, just keep adding it on. All right. Or if you want, you can cut them off, which is what I have been doing. I would cut it off now. Let me just trim that there. So I will cut it off, finger press if I want, go back to the cutting board and just trim it all off. So I'll, okay, trim it all off, get it all ready, put it like that, as I said, trim it all off, come back and do the chain all over again. It's entirely down to you, but you can chain piece it to let it go by very quickly. So as I have already cut this one off, I'm going to get another piece now. And I'm simply just going to add it on. Now, what I have done is keep all of my scraps right next to me. That one needs a bit of an iron, so I'll get another piece. I'll use this one here. Again, front sides together, average where I want my 1.25, sorry, yeah, 1.25 to be, or 1.5, whatever it is, I can't remember right now. Right now, all I remember is just where I need to average, and then I just simply line it up and come straight across, veer off. All right, and flip it back and it's fine. So again, when I'm ready to trim, I turn it this way, make sure you finger press it, and then cut it off like so, and you're done. But chain piecing is definitely a way you can get it done much more quickly. Alright guys, so I just wanted to show you very quickly that if you don't want to use the basting spray, what you can do is just use a simple glue stick, which works the same. Doesn't really cause any problems. I'm not putting loads on it. So again, all you need to do is turn over your cut. I'm just putting a little bit of dark on it, literally nothing fussful, and do my usual. So again, place it down. That's it. So keep it simple, don't stress yourself. Alright guys, so I've now laid all the blocks out, as you can see, and I have placed them in the orientation that I feel happy with. Okay, so what I have done is the areas where it has the cornerstones, I've placed them together, and some of the areas where it doesn't have the cornerstones, so the points, they have come together in order to give me this circular here. Okay, so that is what I was aiming at with each of the block. Now some of them I don't think they've got high contrast from the camera view, but when I look at it in real life, the contrast is there, so I'll point them out to you. So this one here, I think the contrast is low, as well as this one and that one up there. I think the contrast is low, but as I said, in real life they look fine, but on camera it just doesn't show up that way. Even this one here as well. Nevertheless, it looks fine. But what I also wanted to point out is when you are building yours, that not all of the points will meet. So for example, what I mean by that is the cornerstone here. So you wouldn't get each of the block here with the cornerstones, okay? So this is my aim here, but then when the end meets, this is what you get there. But again, when you look at it as a whole, 4 block, you get the cornerstones in the middle. So that was my aim. So some at the end you get the cornerstones and some you don't, as you can see for yourself. So it's 36 blocks all together, and it's 6 across and 6 down. All right, so I'm going to sew them together in rows. If you wanted to, you can change the layout. So I'm going to change the layout to one orientation and show you what I mean, and you can decide which one you like to get. All right, so hold on a second. All right, so this is it with the leaves. It's what it looked like to me. So orange peel going to one direction, so you can do that too. And it looks really abstract in this way, but again, the decision is down to you. Now, I didn't really move the blocks around in terms of, what colors clash with each other. So as you can see, these two here, because I've just simply changed the orientation of one other block, this happens where that is together, and these two look like the same color fabrics when in reality they aren't. So just to give you some ideas, take a picture before you commit to the layout that you want to, and also the picture enables you to see what blocks you want close to each other or not, or what you want to move around. All right, but that is it. So what I'm going to do now is go back to the first layout because I prefer that one. This one is okay as well. Sew it together, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. I may just continue and complete the whole quilt, because I think you've seen me baste and spray and everything else and put it onto the batting numerous of times. So I may just sew it all together and then show you the finished product, which is really what you want to see. All right, guys, so I'm going to go back to the original orientation, but you can play around and tell me what you've gotten with yours. Let me know which orientation you prefer, this one or the other one. Yeah, I'd love to see what you would have gone with had you been making it. All right, and remember, this is scraps. Sometimes, again, it's amazing what scraps can give you. These are all just pieces of leftover fabric that I've used to make the quilt. Alright guys, so the quilt is completed now. I think this has come together really nicely. I love the quilting. I have quilted it to death, to be honest. And one of the reasons I did that is because I didn't do any applique stitch on the edges there. So in order for this to remain on there, I really had to do some really heavy quilting. I would say to you though, if you are going to make this quilt, I would definitely use some fusible paper and do it that way, do it properly rather than take shortcuts like I did. I mean, I'm a little bit experienced, so I wasn't really scared about the process of just gluing it down, okay? But love the quilting though. Each block had different quilting. So for example, some of the white, I did sort of the swirls of meander, but for the pumpkin shape itself, I did leaves in this one here. No, sorry. No, I did, oh, I forgot the name of this now. Serpentine lines, that's it. And for this one here, I did curve around it, and I did some swirls with points on the end. But for all of the purple, I did some paisleys around it as well. It looked really lovely. So you can see it's really quilted to death. With the white, yet again, did some serpentines, just going. Love this butterfly fabric. Look at that, really beautiful with the quilting there. But overall, a lovely quilt. It's the 36 blocks all together, and yeah, it was really quick to make, to be honest, guys. It's a day quilt, definitely. Quilting will take longer. I wouldn't advise you to quilt it to death like I did, because it did take a while actually quilting it. However, I would say probably the easiest thing to do is just swirls around it if you are going to quilt this yourself. One of the things I want to point out to you here is whereby I didn't use sort of accurate, you know, that 1.5 inch I said away from the tip there, which works out fine for me. It is an improv quilt at the end of the day. You know, we're using scraps, you don't have to make it so precise every time. And when you stand back, you don't see those slight imperfections. Some has come about really nicely. This is a good one here. That's a very good one there. Also, with the contrast of the pumpkin seeds, just be mindful. I do feel that this one here, it's slightly pale than what I would really like in terms of all the others. You can see they're very bright and they stand out. However, it works much better on the white there. Do love these two together. There they come about really nicely. Love the colors. Love the these two paisley ones here. This one here is batiks, and this one here isn't, but just love it. Really, really come about really lovely. This is the one I cut on camera with you, and I put it on a purple background. But you can mix yours if you want, like I did. Looks really nice. Happy with the outcome. This one here is batiks. I think you've seen this one when I made my table quilt. These are all the cuts that I cut originally. Yeah, this is a Christmas one as well. So I have literally chopped in quite a lot of pieces to make this quilt. Easy scrap quilt to make, no pressure, easy sewing, no piecing at all, and very, very little measurement really. Once you have the template and you get it all done, the quilt comes together very nicely. But as I said, I wouldn't advise to do a dense quilting because it did take some time. Here you can see those lines again, just up and down. They're nothing fussful at all. But what I want you to understand is when you do your quilting, irregardless of what you do, when the quilt is finished, it looks really nice, okay? But yeah, I think it worked out really nicely, guys. Really loved it. Beautiful quilt. Let me show you the back. I use a cheetah's print on the back. So it does look like a piecing in the back, but it's just a cheetah's fabric. But you can definitely see all of the quilting. I use a glossy pink thread. I thought it looked really nice actually. So I always like, if I use a plain background, to show up the printing, because I want to be able to, for the user of the quilt to, you know, fall in love with the back as well as much as the front. But I love this fabric. This fabric has been in my stash for a very long time. When I say a very long time, I mean a very long time. So yeah, so this one is really a stash buster, using up all of my leftover fabrics. Okay, but lovely. Again, this is what scraps can do. Save your pocket, save your change. Don't buy fabric. use a template, make a beautiful, simple quilt in a day, do large quilting on it, and you won't be disappointed with the outcome. So beautiful. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, let me know what you think about it. Download the template. You can download it I think twice or 3 times before it actually stops you. Any problems, don't hesitate to let me know. And I shall see you in the next one, guys. Happy quilting, love you lots, have a good one.